The shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, the Royal Navy's air-cooled dream. Round study, lowest rank APS. And metal beasts, the top amphibious tank. Soviet amphibious tanks are famous enough to require no special introduction. With the development of ground vehicles, engineers had to increase the firepower on these already fearsome machines. The original 76mm guns were replaced by 85mm, and later even 100mm ones. But it's still not enough to fight modern MBTs. That's why we're happy to present to you the newest member of the family, the 2S-25 Sprut-SD. Hey, the caliber was increased again. So now its firepower is provided by a two-plane stabilized 125mm cannon with elevation angles between -5 and +15 degrees. The turret also houses smoke grenade launchers and night vision devices. The ammo racks are spread across the sides and the bottom of the combat compartment, mostly automated. The layout is classic, with the driver in the front, two more crew members in the turret, with the engine compartment in the rear. Thanks to its 500 horsepower engine and a cutting-edge transmission, the Sprut can achieve speeds of up to 70 km per hour, both forward and in reverse. Thanks to this outstanding mobility, it can arrive at the best positions and fire points among the first, as well as surprise the enemy with an unexpected rear attack. In case you feel like you overestimated your power and got to the wrong neighborhood, smoke grenades and ESS will help you get back to safety quickly enough. Fix your vehicle if you need, restock your first stage ammo stowage, which has, by the way, 22 shots, and back to looking for gaps in enemy defenses. We say looking for gaps for a reason. Trying to employ those gaps on your own may guarantee you a one-way ticket back to the hangar screen. While the gun has been significantly improved, the armor is still too light to resist any significant damage. Even a large-caliber machine gun can penetrate it. Moreover, as soon as the enemy marks you, any enemy pilot will love an easy frag on your behalf. They won't even need to spend their rockets or bombs, since AP rounds would suffice. Conclusion? Avoid direct contact. Employ stealth. And keep your distance at all times. The latter is especially important for the Sprut since its 3 BM42 Mango APF-SDS round is equally effective at longer distances. Having a laser rangefinder makes these shots all the easier. Once you measure the range, the fire control system will correct the vertical offset for you automatically. The machine comes with its flaws, of course. For example, most tanks at this rank can boast thermals, while the Sprut can't. The autoloader provides a stable rate of fire, but experienced crews of Western tanks can one-up them. And its depression angle of only 5 degrees will make you use Plan B in some landscapes. Still, the Sprut belongs to the light tank class, which means it has some special abilities, like helping allies repairs and extinguishing fires, as well as active scouting, which, may we remind you, gives you a discount for your next air spawn. Do you know what's unique about Royal Navy carrier-based aircraft during World War II? It's fighters. Look at the US or Japan. Could you find a single new wave plane with an inline liquid-cooled engine? Or a land-based aircraft turned deck-based? No. Even before the war, the Navy had already learned the hard truth. There's no place for liquid-cooled air engines on the decks of aircraft carriers. Why? Well, it's simple. There's no water at sea. Oh, there's an endless supply of salty water, but even on the largest aircraft carrier, there's never enough potable water en route. The brave sailors can sometimes resort to desalinated seawater, but no radiator will run fine on it. A plane needs the purest, distilled kind of water, the one you can mix with ethylene glycol, the kind of water that won't clog the engine or radiator with salts and calc in 5 minutes after takeoff. Can you imagine the faces of Her Majesty's sailors watching precious, clean, delicious water being poured into the Spitfire and Sea Hurricane radiators? One of the mildest phrases you could hear then was, "Planes are devouring men." The second reason the Navy couldn't endorse liquid-cooled engines was their low survivability. One bullet to the fragile radiator, and an emergency landing was inbound. At sea and at war meant a guaranteed loss of a fighter with slim chances for the pilot, too. After all, trying to turn a regular land-based fighter into a deck-based one is a bad idea in the first place. Decks are no airfields, and creating naval planes requires a whole different set of priorities. The Royal Navy had no choice, though, since early on in the war, their home industry simply had no decent single-engine fighters with radial engines. We can't help but ask ourselves, how did this come about? Didn't they have the amazing 14-cylinder radial Bristol Hercules engines that took all kinds of planes to the skies, from the Beaufighters to the Halifaxes? Sadly, it's a big mystery that more than one generation of engineers and aircraft history enthusiasts couldn't crack. We can assume that there were more reasons than one. In any case, the British Navy had to use land-based machines retrofitted into deck-based ones. Alternatively, they had the American Martlets, Hellcats, and Corsairs, paid for with real gold. So by now, you can probably understand why the Navy wasn't too happy to see the new Typhoons. And you can also imagine the excitement about the promising Tempest Mark II, a plane that was finally going to get an 18-cylinder air-cooled radial engine. Having lost all their traditional British modesty, the Royal Navy officers demanded to go far beyond creating a naval version of the fighter. They wanted a new machine originally meant for aircraft carriers, a machine that would use a new engine and wing. However, it was already 1943, so there was little hope of seeing production models anytime soon. It didn't take long to design the new fuselage for the future Sea Fury, with its raised cockpit, increased sturdiness for axial load, and stronger landing gear. The engine, however, the Bristol Centaurus, had an extremely efficient yet very sophisticated gas distribution system that needed a long and painful improvement process. To bring the Sea Fury into service quicker, the Navy was even offered an interim model with the Rolls-Royce Griffon engine and coaxial props, such as on the later Spitfire planes. The Navy would have none of it. It had to have a radial engine and air cooling. Consequently, the Navy received the plane they wanted in September 1946. No Luftwaffe was in sight. Japan was defeated and ruined, and fighter planes were preparing for the jet era. The Royal Navy sailors could finally get out onto their carriers' decks with leisure, take a long, good look at the newest high-speed Sea Fury fighters with all their shiny dural and fresh coats of paint, and discuss their superiority over a cup of delicious British tea. Finding water to brew it wasn't a problem anymore. In today's round study, we're going to review the French AMX-30B2 Brenus. Its armor offers weaker protection compared to machines featured previously, but it does have reactive armor and an optical electronic active protection system. Not bad for a battle rating of 8.3, right? Let's see how well it performs against enemy rounds and ATGMs. We'll start with some 100mm Soviet cap rounds, so the largest vulnerability here is the lower front glacis. Send a round here and the tank's kaput. The upper glacis, however, shows the best level of protection. An APC-BC cannot penetrate its lower part, and hitting the upper part leads to a ricochet, which you can employ to your advantage, by the way. Aiming closer to the turret ring will lead the ricocheted round to the poorly protected gun mantlet, damaging the gun breech and a few crew members. A couple more vulnerabilities are the hull's edges above the tracks, or the so-called cheeks. They are hidden by steel sheets, but there's still no challenge in hitting them, while for the tank it is a challenge to survive such a penetration. The turret can be damaged through basically any side with a chance of ricochet off the roof. Let's see what the 105mm DM23 APF-SDS can do. Penetration-wise, there's nothing to discuss. Shoot anywhere. The caveat is lower damage compared to APC-BC. A hit from the tank driver's side incapacitates 2 crew members, the engine, and the transmission, which means aiming at the left part of the hull is better since it hides the fuel tank, the ammo racks, and the gunner. If you want to damage the turret, you have 2 options. Hitting the left part incapacitates the gunner and the commander, which pretty much renders the AMX unarmed. The right part of the turret only houses 1 tanker, the loader, but it does give you a chance to hit the ammo in the turret rear for an instant frag. The ammo rack can also be exploded through the turret roof. Okay, now it's time for the heat. We'll start with the most widespread one, 400mm of penetration. The reactive armor covers the front of the tank well enough. The only unprotected details are the lower glacis, the tank driver's hatch, the turret ring, and the gun mantlet on the gunner's side. One little thing about reactive armor is that the blocks only work once. Once they're gone, getting through the main armor is no problem at all. Finally, the anti-tank guided missiles. The AMX has not 1 but 2 layers of protection against them. The first one being the turret-mounted active protection system. It works like magic against some missiles, such as the TOW and the HOT, brushing them aside. However, the effective range is pretty narrow, just 20 degrees horizontally and 10 degrees vertically. The unfortunate thing is that this tank can encounter enemies with missiles protected against APS. For instance, the TOW 2B will get to the French tank no problem, APS or not. Fortunately, there's a second layer of protection, the reactive armor, which means that ATGMs will suffer the same fate as heat rounds. Well, let's give poor Frenchie a break. It's time for us to answer some of the questions you ask us in the comments. The first question was sent by a player called Ace. With aircraft, if you drop your ordnance, does that mean the flight characteristics goes back too? If the aircraft is bare, or does it still take into account empty rocket pods and such? Hi, Ace. Yes, the game models mass change for airplanes realistically, so spending your suspended armament impacts flight performance. Sir Godzilla asks, Will we see more user-made vehicles like the HE-177A5 Greif added to the game? Greetings, Sir Godzilla. Yes, such machines get added to the game occasionally. For instance, we've recently added the German BV-138 flying boat. Another question comes from McFetty. What is faster, the slowest tank on the road or the fastest amphibious tank in the water? Hi, McFetty. Even the fastest amphibious tanks can only achieve a speed of 10 kilometers per hour, while the slowest tank, or to be more precise, self-propelled howitzer, the T-95, can dash around at a staggering 13 kph. The American turtle can, in fact, win a race. Me and Me writes, can we use torpedoes to attack ground vehicles? Hi there. Only if the tank is really close to the water. Using a torpedo like a bomb is, unfortunately, impossible. And the last comment for today was written by Luis Lopez. Could you try doing a best biplane challenge? Hi, Luis. We've already had a triathlon among biplanes in episode 214, but if you want to hear which one is best, it's the Soviet I-153P. Its battle rating, however, befits such an outdated machine, with only 2.7. Once more, that's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT, or noon Eastern Time. Come on, I keep reminding you to subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. And don't forget to brew a delicious cup of desalinated but extra caffeinated tea in the morning. It'll keep you focused. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and hopefully I'll see you next week.